Hi guys, I'm back. It's your girl Chi Chi with Get the Tea with the Chi, and we have another case that's been in the media for quite some time. It died down, and now it's resurfacing. And if you haven't heard about it, I'll leave a link for you to look at some footage on it, because you know we can't put the footage on. But I'm upset. I really am. And this case to me shows a clear-cut case of there being indiscretions, or how should I say this? Differences, I'll just say that. Differences of how every case, of course, is different, but how the prosecution treats every case. How laws may apply to you, but not apply to me. Okay, now, this case is the Marrisa Alexander case. Alright, we have an African American female. Her name again is Marrisa Alexander. And her husband, his name is Rico Gray. They both live in Duval, Jacksonville County. That's Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. That's where I'm from originally. I don't know if I'm proud to say that right now, but that's where I'm from originally. And they're married. So what happens is Mr. Gray himself has, as he says, 5 baby mamas, which means he has 5 women who have kids from him, which includes Miss Alexander. That in itself is terrible, because he can't say they were ex-wives where the kids were born, in wedlock, or at least he had the kids and married the mother. Can't say that, but they're baby mamas. And he basically has a history of abuse, admittingly so. He admitted that he has a history of abuse, abusing women, that is. So what happened, and let me give you the story. She had just had their baby, their daughter, 9 days prior to this incident, okay? So this happened in 2010, but I'm talking about it now because this Zimmerman Trayvon Martin case kind of, to me, is not the same, but kind of borderlines on the same principles, if you ask me. Well, she goes in to have a shower, and again, 9 days after delivering a baby. Now, men don't have kids, so you don't know the state of mind, mentally, physically, emotionally, medically, everything that a woman goes through after she has a baby. Now, I don't know if she had a cesarean section because she's been in a worse off situation, or if she had a vaginal delivery. I don't know. Either way, she just had a baby. So this lady was in a state of mind of probably tired, weariness. You never know. Okay. She went to go have a shower, and while she was in the bathroom, she received a text message from a male friend. Mr. Rico Gray intercepted that message. He read it, got upset, went to the bathroom, forced his way in, started choking her. Okay, so there must have been some damaging information in that text message for him to just get all, testosterone filled for him to do this. He goes in and he's choking her. Some kind of way she gets by him. She gets away from him, and she's running. She ran to the garage, and she's stating that she tried to get away. For some reason, she couldn't get the garage door open. Okay, because sometimes when you click the garage, the little thing, sometimes you have to click it more than once. The battery might be dead. I don't know what happened, but she couldn't get the garage door open. So she got her gun, because she was trying to defend herself. And he came to the garage door. She actually was going back into the house or what have you. We don't know if she was going back into the house to scare him or back into the house to try to run out the front door. We don't know. She just went back in the house with the gun, okay, for protection, which she rightly had the right to do so because she has a gun permit. So it's not a stolen gun or an unregistered gun. It's registered to her. She has a permit to carry it, and it's in her home that she's being harassed or victimized. Not harassed, but victimized. And so she goes in, and he corners her at the garage door entering into their kitchen. And what does she do? She shoots a warning shot into the wall. Like, back up. Okay? She does that because she is afraid for her life. Now, I don't know what most people would have done if they have a history of somebody, excuse me, saying this, whooping their ass, would have probably shot him. But she shot a warning shot into the wall. Like, back up. I don't want to hurt you, but if you force me to, I will. Okay? And he got scared and left. Now, mind you, two of his kids that are not hers, two of his sons, he rushed out the house with the kids and left. Called the police on her, and she was arrested. Okay. I'm upset about the whole situation in regards to this because, okay, he calls the police on her. I mean, I understand she shot at him, but she didn't shoot him. And the thing is, I've always been told, if you go looking for trouble, you're gonna find it. So for him to feel it was okay to go into the bathroom, put his hands on her, and not expect for her to defend herself, to me, is ludicrous. But I'm going to tell you what happened. I wasn't there, but just think about it. When you're in a heated discussion or heated argument with somebody, a lot of the times, when one person walks away, the other person follows them. So I'm under the impression, and based on what she's saying, it validates what I'm saying here. She ran to get away from him, and he followed her. Okay? So, don't get mad at her because she got a gun and she's shooting at you. Be thankful you didn't get shot. Now, what happens next is the problem. Because his two children were in the house, he got the 12-year-old to testify that she shot at them. I'm upset because when they went to court, they gave her a plea bargain. First off, the jury came back and found her guilty. Now, she went in claiming self-defense and trying to use the stand your ground law. Basically, she was not the aggressor in this situation. Her husband clearly was, and admittedly so. And she ran from him, but he followed her. So you're still trying to be aggressive. She pulls the gun out on him. He's probably still I can imagine in a situation like that, oh, you gonna shoot me? Oh, put the gun down. And probably walking toward her, and she just said, back up. You understand? Knowing that's the kid, the father of her child, and that he has other children, she didn't kill him. And it's sad. It's so sad for me to think this. But it makes me wonder, would she have been better off if she'd have just killed him? Because then, what would they call it then? It was self-defense. He was beating on her. He has a history of abuse. Blah, 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 blah. End of story. Okay? But instead of taking a human life, she thought quick and said, boom, I'm going to shoot a warning shot to let you know if you come toward me again, you're gone. So you get your kids, get out, leave me alone. Smart. To me, that was the smartest thing to do. But it's a shame when you use your brain to think, to do the right thing. The wrong thing seems to have been the better thing to do. Now, what really burns me up, and I'm gonna read a quote. This is what he said. If my kids weren't there, I knew I probably would have tried to take the gun from her. If my kids wouldn't have been there, I probably would have put my hands on her. So he's saying, if my kids were in the house, I'd have whooped her ass. I'd have tried to take the gun and beat her. Guess what? What he's saying in this quote, he actually tried it. That's why she shot at him. Okay? Are you Superman or super cop or super man of steel where you're saying if the kids were in the house you would have did this and you would have... Who in their right mind is going to try to run toward a person with a gun? Who in their right mind? So that should tell you something right there. He's not in his right mind if he's telling you, or if he's telling us, or telling the court. This is from his deposition, mind you. I didn't make this up. This is a deposition statement, okay, that he's saying this. Who in their right mind is going to run towards somebody with a gun? I'm going to run away. I'm going to try to zigzag and run away from a person with a gun. I'm not going to even attempt to think in my own mind that I'm going to sit up here and run toward this person. Especially when the person is warning me to leave. Okay? Sparing my life to leave. Okay. Now the next thing that he says that really upset me. I quote, I got 5 baby mamas and I put my hands on every last one of them except for one. Let me read that again. I got 5 baby mamas and I put my hands on every last one of them except for one. And she's not the one he's talking about. So some other woman that he had a baby from was lucky enough not to have his hands put on her. She got rid of his behind before he did it. That's probably what happened, which was good for her. Okay? Now, it's sad to me that we have a mother in prison who's been in prison since August 1st, 2010, trying to use stand your ground law here in Florida, defending herself. Now, mind you, they both had injunctions against one another where they weren't supposed to have any violent altercations, okay, toward one another. This was, some form of, I guess, restraining order, I don't know, where because they were married or together or what have you, they could be around each other, but no violence could be done. So what happens is, after she shot at him, a few days later, she went to his house and was engaging in conversation to tell him, you know what, this is over. Let's go ahead and get a divorce or break up or whatever. We're in a jacked up relationship. So here we go. They get into a physical altercation. She winds up giving him a black eye, allegedly, because he could have given himself the black eye. I don't know. To make it look worse on her. Who knows? But so within that, when she went to court, the judge could have given her a plea for probation or house arrest or what have you, but didn't do so because of the fact that she violated the order of the violence, okay, of being violent with him or having an altercation with him. So when it came down, the jury found her guilty. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison. 20 years in prison. Now, let me read you this. In the state of Florida, if you pull a gun during a crime, you get a mandatory 10 years. Just for pulling the gun out. Look, here's the gun, 10 years, automatic. If you shoot or fire the gun, you get 20-year mandatory sentence. If you shoot and kill someone, it's 25 years to life. So she gets this plea deal for 3 years in prison. And I would say, because if you're in a situation where you're in a domestic violence situation, where someone's beating on you, first off, you don't know, and I don't know, we don't know what state of mind she was in. This man has threatened to kill her before. She's already been on record that he's, that they've been, he's been arrested for domestic violence before. Now, what makes me angry is that with Miss Alexander, is that he's been arrested for domestic violence for her before. She goes down and drops the charges. Let me tell you something. If someone beats your behind to the point that you have to call the police, It should be done over with right there. I don't care if you have kids, if you're married, if you're going together, I don't care. That means when it gets to that point that you have to dial 911 and they take him away or her away in handcuffs or what have you, or make them leave, whatever, it's time to go. There is no more relationship. Because that at that point, it should be clear to you that this is a dangerous and volatile situation. Period. Kids and no kids. State of Florida don't play when it comes to child support. Look at it this way. If you're staying in the relationship because of the child, that's even more messed up, because you're showing the child that it's okay for a man to whoop your ass. And she just had a baby girl. So you're showing the child it's okay for him to beat me. You're showing his sons it's okay for you to put your hands on a woman. It's all right. Because she's going to always come back. You just smooth her over a little bit. She's going to stay with you. I'm so sick of men and women staying in relationships that are abusive to the point that you're calling the police on each other, getting restraining orders, doing this and that. If you don't, okay, I can understand people trying to salvage a relationship. I understand that. But some relationships are not meant to be salvaged. I'm sorry. And I don't care. I mean, I understand that you have kids. Like I said, the state of Florida does not play. If you're worried about money or worried about this and that, if he's working, the state of Florida will put a man in jail if he's not taking care of his civil duty towards his child. Period. So, to me, there's no excuse of a woman staying with somebody who's knocking her head and bashing her head in and having to call the police to get them off of her, and then you go down and drop the charges. I'm not dropping charges. I call the police on you because you hitting on me. Guess what? You're going to jail. Bottom line, boop. I'm not going to sit up here, oh, I feel sorry for him. He has to go to jail. You shouldn't have put your hands on me to the point I had to call somebody to take you away from me and my kids. So, to me, I'm mad at her in that regard because she dropped the charges in the first place and because she allowed him back into the house. Because once he was gone and the restraining orders or whatever were put on him or what have you, it should have been left just like that. Just leave it alone. Because now look at what situation she's in. He put his hands on her again. And it's like that. Once a man or a woman, once somebody hits you, they're going to hit you again. Don't ever believe that they won't. They can cry, plead, beg, oh, I never. Yes, they will. Because if they put that hand up there to hit you once, they'll hit you again. They will hit you again. Period. Understand that from the jump. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm just way off. I know I'm like a total different person than what you guys are used to seeing. I'm livid at this point. And I'm upset too because this law in Florida, the stand your ground law, is a joke. It applies to some people and not to others. It applies to me, to white people and men, and not to, to African Americans or women. It doesn't matter that this man has a history of abuse. He's admitting he would have put his hands on her. He's admitting this. He's admitting he's beaten on her before. It's on record he's beaten on her before. He even had a domestic violence situation with his brother. Then his brother went down and took the charges off of him too. So this man has a history of being violent. When somebody shows you who you are, that's who they are. That's who they are. Don't try to change them. Don't try to think that you're so good or you're so this or that they're going to conform to what you need or want for them to be. Nope. When they show you who they are, that's who they are. He showed her several times who he was. And I'm sure, based on the relationship that they have, she's probably heard it from the other women. Girl, he going to beat your ass. Excuse me. So, my rant in this case is basically, I can't understand how this woman fired a warning shot and got 20 years, and Zimmerman killed a young man in cold blood who was not armed and is set free. And I already know people are going to say, oh, there were kids in the house. Yes, there were kids in the house. She didn't shoot the kids.